Most child actors are in rehab or retirement by the time they're teenagers. But George Cole, though he first appeared on stage in 1939 at the age of 14, is still one of the leading members of his profession 68 years later. His most profitable roles have been as men desperate to make a profit. First Flash Harry in the St. Trinian's films, and then a latter-day black marketeer, the car salesman Arthur Daly, who became an emblem of the Thatcherite 80s in the long-running ITV series Minder. But Cole has remained consistently busy, recently appearing in a number of TV plays about modern Britain by the writer Tony Grounds, including Bodily Harm, A Class Apart, and The Dinner Party. He's one of the very few performers whose careers have stretched from the era of music hall to the age of DVDs. One of the things that has changed a lot in your lifetime for actors is that DVD means that you can watch your own work if you want to. There are box sets of Minder, St. Trinian's and so on. Do you ever sit down and watch it?
Always. And particularly when they're repeated on television. But now I've got all the DVDs. But, no, I love it.
It's interesting because some actors, as you know, can't bear to watch themselves back.
I don't understand that. I mean, how do you learn about what you're doing, whether you're doing it right or wrong, if you don't watch?
So even now, you'll catch yourself doing something and think, I could have done that better, or...
Very rarely. No, but you do catch yourself, I think, talking earlier, not listening. You think, no, you should be listening a bit more earnestly than you were. But generally, no, I don't think I could improve very much. I'm certainly not on Minder.
I read that you'd read a book by the American actor Alan Alda called Never Have Your Dog Stuffed, and he has a whole chapter on the importance of actors listening to the other actors, which seems obvious, but actually a lot of actors don't do it.
No, they don't. I mean, some young actors think it's a matter of learning the lines, and if you've learned the lines, you're there. You're not. You can say your lines, but if you're not listening to what the other person says, you're not replying. You're just saying the lines. Now, I found that fascinating, that chapter.
The worst part of being an actor, it seems to me as an outsider, is even someone as successful as you, and you've been pretty much in work for 68 years now, even that you're dependent on somebody giving you a job, the script coming through the door. Do you get used to that insecurity?
Yes, you do. Because you don't believe it. No, I think the only time you worry is if you do have a long period out of work and nothing's come in. But I haven't had any of those.
Now, I was amazed, looking at the list of your credits, pretty much every year in the 68 years, there's at least one thing, sometimes several things.
Yes, true.
So you've never had periods of worry or fear about what was coming next?
I had one period of 11 months. Followed by, I think, 4 days in Gone to Earth, a Michael Powell film. But after that was the worst I ever had. And I think because it never occurred to me to take another job, so I wasn't worried. And I got through it anyway.
And you've just done a television role with Donald Sinden, who is 84, 2 years older than you. Actors tend not to retire, they just keep going. Do you welcome that, or have you ever felt you'd like to be in a profession where they give you a leaving party and send you off to put your feet up?
No. No, I don't want to stop. I mean, I'm still enjoying every second of it. And I've been doing some very nice scripts by Tony Grounds, particularly.
The Dinner Party?
The Dinner Party.
Please tell me you didn't go out in your vest.
I didn't go out in my vest.
You've got chicken nuggets and chips.
I'm 83. I'll make myself a bit of toast.
Please don't, George.
Would you like a drink, Dad?
No, he's coming upstairs, aren't you, George?
I'm all right, son.
I know you are, mate.
It is quite a physically demanding job, learning the lines for a start, the retakes, the locations. Does that ever feel too much?
Well, I think if it was going to feel too much, it would have been so in Minder, because we shot 10 days per episode. Both Dennis and I were usually in most of the scenes, but it was such fun. I mean, when we started, we had an old Green Line bus, which was makeup, hairdressing, wardrobe, and places where Dennis could play cards with his mates. After the second series, we said, no, we don't want that anymore. We want a Winnebago. So very kindly, they gave us both a Winnebago. Well, that lasted for about a fortnight because we got so fed up with going backwards and forwards to each other, saying, what do you think about this and what do you think about that? So in the end, we said, could we have a big Winnebago, and he can have the front and I'll have the back. And that's how we ended up. And that was wonderful. And he's heaven to work with. I mean, I've just done a new Tricks with him and his new gang. And they are a lovely lot to work with.
We'll talk more about Minder later, but I just wondered because as people get older, I mean, most people past the age of about 40, they start to worry about memory and all of that. But lines and all the rest of it, that has never been a problem for you?
No, because when I was doing Minder, I always tape the whole script, doing everybody's lines, but doing mine stronger than theirs. And then I have that tape in the car, and going to work on the Monday, I play the stuff I know I'm going to do today. And then going home, I play the stuff I know I'm going to do tomorrow, which means you don't get home dog-tired and then have to sit down learning lines.
That's fascinating. And so somewhere there are tapes of you playing all the parts in every script you've ever done.
I don't think they are. I think I've taped over all of them, because occasionally you're trying to learn and something else comes through that you did in between. I mean, it's got the wrong script on there. But, no, I find that works marvellously.
And I talked about the length of your career. If we go back to childhood, born in London in the mid-1920s, your accent is interesting because in your roles you've used a lot of Cockney and a lot of London accents. It's not your natural speaking voice. How would you have sounded when you were growing up?
When I met Alistair Simon, his wife, I would talk like that all the time. And I would understand what word I said. And I used to start telling them a funny story. And when I got to the punchline, they'd do that. And I said, what are you doing that for? He said, we can't stand your vowel sounds. Do something about them. And I think it was a case of do something about your vowel sounds or get out. So I did something about my vowel sounds. But thank goodness I didn't lose the Cockney altogether. It became very useful.
I was going to say, it made you a lot of money later on with you. Before you met Alistair Simon, which we'll talk about in a moment, but in childhood, so what, your mother and father, what are your memories of them? What were they like?
Oh, they were wonderful. They were lovely. Particularly as I was adopted by them. No, they were marvellous. Except when I went away on the first job, which was Whitehorse Inn, and I sent my parents a telegram saying, gone on stage, we'll write. 9 words for sixpence in those days. And I was about that size, with pretty dark curly hair. And people said, years later, what wonderful parents you must have had. Excuse me. And I thought, I don't know about that. Why didn't they come after me or go to the police or something? But no, I didn't see them for 6 months. But, no, they were wonderful in that they allowed it to happen.
How old were you when you found out you were adopted?
13.
It's traumatic for some people, but what was it for you?
No, it wasn't. It was interesting. And I mean, the problem was to be guilty because I found a letter on top of the wardrobe when I was looking for Christmas presents. And I said, what's all this about? And my mother didn't hesitate to tell me, which was very nice. And I mean, they'd given me a lovely childhood, because they adopted me when I was 10 days old. So, no, they were good.
These days, it's easier because of internet and various agencies, but adopted children very often trace their parents. Do you know anything about your natural parents?
No, nothing at all. Because there was no adoption society in 1925. In fact, if I waited another year, there was an adoption society. So I know a bit more about it.